Hello and welcome to this webinar, Aiming for a Fairer World, Singing to Raise Diversity Awareness in Young Children. I'm Claire, the creator and designer of Music Buds Learning, and I'll be your guide through this webinar. We'll start with a brief overview of what's actually contained in the webinar, and then we'll go into each aspect in a little more detail. The current running time of this video is roughly 30 minutes, but please do remember that you have the option to speed up or slow down the speed of the video within the settings, so you can watch the video at a speed to suit you. I start this presentation by offering you my definitions of the three terms diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And then I'll briefly justify why I think it's so important to start with diversity when it comes to interacting with 3 to 7-year-olds. We then move on to consider the impact that both musical and diversity learning can have upon our young learners, before touching on just how important empathetic development is in this age range. Next, we discovered just how easy it is to incorporate so many strands of learning into one song. By taking a look at one of our own original songs for children, I'll guide you through the song resources to 1. Demonstrate how clear and accessible they are, and 2. Exemplify how they can effectively support so many elements of learning all at the same time. This leads us towards the end of the webinar, where we cover some of the points previously covered and offer you a glimpse of the courses and materials on offer to support your journey through diversity learning. And so let's get started. I'm not going to spend any time here describing to you what a fairer world might look like. I'm sure you've your own examples of the ways in which the world leans towards unfairness, equality and exclusion when it comes to considering our young children in our care, and how these disadvantages might be colouring the life experiences of our own 3 to 7-year-olds. I'm going to start with a quote, and so I'll move into a slide presentation here. Nelson Mandela said, "No one is born hating another for the colour of their skin, their background, or their religion. People learn how to hate." Given that this is the case, then we need to counteract these invisible influences, those that create a lack of respect, of tolerance and acceptance by others, by educating our children to recognise and challenge such behaviours. This doesn't have to be done through grand gestures and strident voices. We can make a difference in almost imperceptible ways by exemplifying and role modelling exemplary DEI behaviour in ourselves. Let's consider for a moment what diversity, equity, and inclusivity is as a concept. Although these three words are so closely interlinked, they have, in general terms, become a unified concept to all intents and purposes within the educational world. But actually, and particularly when considering younger age groups, they actually do describe three separate, important elements. Diversity. In human terms, the word diversity relates to the rich differences amongst us all, and promoting positive diversity awareness models a non-judgmental way of appreciating this. Equity, in terms of our young children, recognises that we are not all starting from the same place, and therefore, in offering each individual child an equal opportunity to learn and thrive. This opportunity will look very different depending on the needs of those individual children. And inclusivity. Inclusivity draws attention to the need to make sure that we consider the individual needs of each child to ensure that no child is marginalised or excluded through our teaching provision. This isn't straightforward to achieve, and we could spend an entire webinar on this topic alone. However, when it comes to the development of our 3 to 7-year-olds, it's indisputable that we need to direct our focus primarily on the diversity awareness thread of this combined concept. It's only through understanding the stages of child development from a diversity perspective that we can hope to provide the children with the empathetic skills they need to recognise and challenge the obstacles to true DEI practice. When delivered with confidence, enthusiasm, skill and knowledge, songs are an absolutely fabulous way to teach children so many things, but particularly positive diversity awareness. Adding this aspect to their learning doesn't detract at all from the musical and experiential learning that goes along with the content of the song. It's just another ingredient to add into the rich musical mix. There are many reasons associated with the effectiveness of learning through song, many that you might already be aware of, such as the repetitive and rhythmical patterning of pitch and vocabulary, along with a growing sense of anticipation as the children become more familiar with the song. Their socialisation skills, such as turn-taking, listening and responding, improve, as do their language, vocalisation and vocabulary skills too. It's for these reasons, and many more, that songs become so memorable for the children, and in relation to developing diversity awareness, they can act not only as important conversation starters, but also as memory aids for the children to help them know how to behave and act in certain situations as they continue to grow and develop through childhood. There are also holistic advantages to promoting positive diversity awareness in the children. Recent research has shown that schools who participate in such diversity programs as these can demonstrate a positive impact in areas such as the children's sense of well-being and belonging, their participation levels during learning, their relationships and interactions both between the children themselves and also between children and adults, increased self-esteem, better relationship management, and feelings of safety, security and stability. Given that we manage to provide the children with all of these benefits simply through singing a few songs with them, then it stands to reason we should all be doing more of it. One of the most important impacts of developing and promoting positive diversity awareness in young children is to support and increase their levels of empathy. This develops in so many ways through singing together. The sense of social cohesion and belonging that comes through singing as a group can't be underestimated. And the ability to sing about their own similarities and differences in non-threatening, non-judgmental, but observational and respectful ways also feeds and encourages their own empathetic interactions towards others. It's important to name and identify these aspects of empathy, and songs offer us such a simple opportunity for doing so. As a result, the children are able to role-play different situations within the safe space of each song, which makes the whole learning episode so effective and over time so reinforcing too. So now it's time to put all this theoretical background into action and practice by turning to a particular song example. And so here we turn to a simple song to support diversity awareness. We're making soup for dinner. We'll have a guided tour through the song so that you can see for yourself how easy it is to incorporate diversity awareness into your own resources. You don't need to be able to read music, or particularly to sing in tune. You just need the enthusiasm to really commit to the learning. A wise old teacher once said to me, "What the teacher attends to, the child attends to." And this is so important and so true when it comes to sharing songs with the children. Never underestimate the power your commitment plays in the development of your children. So once you've registered and logged into our course platform, should you wish to, you find all the songs itemised in a menu on the left-hand side of your screen, just as this song, We're Making Soup for Dinner, is. So each of these titles represents a separate lesson, which on one hand might look slightly overwhelming, but on the other, a lot of the end ones are downloads. And then we have a couple of quiz and feedback surveys. And so the resources for the song are basically here, taught to you in order for you to then teach them to your children. Each song is accompanied by an overview sheet detailing a variety of learning objectives and helpful delivery suggestions, which you can choose to use, or you might, once you feel a bit more confident, you might want to extend and make the song your own in your own ways. So as you can see, our resources do fully support you. So first of all, in We're Making Soup, I'm going to take you on a journey through the spoken lyrics. This is the first aspect of learning a song. It allows you to become familiar with where the emphasis of the words falls, and it grounds your delivery through the solid underlying pulse running right through the song. I'll take you through the first verse of the spoken lyrics just so that you get a flavour of this song. As you can see, the slides are very clear. We're making soup for dinner. And I start by talking about the underlying pulse, which is the heartbeat of the song. It's a steady pulse that just runs through the song the whole time. And so we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We're making soup for dinner. Get out the pot, pour in the water and fill it to the top. Wash up the veggies and get ready to chop. This kitchen is about to get very, very hot. Phew! Let's put potatoes in the pot. Potatoes in the pot. Who's got potatoes for the cooking pot? With a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Stir it until I say stop. And that's the verse and the chorus and the verse. And so I'm going to now revisit that again, now that you've seen it once all the way through. And I'm going to, if you can see me here, I'll try and keep within the camera. I'm going to act out the song with my pot and my water, and I fill it to the top. I chop up the veggies. I wash the veggies and get ready to chop. The kitchen is about to get very, very hot. Phew. And then in the let's put potatoes in the pot, obviously the children will be sitting around, preferably on the floor, with a small selection to begin with, of vegetables, such as a potato, a tomato and a carrot. And then they have to listen to the instruction, pick up the right vegetable, they trot over to the pot and pop their vegetable in, and then they go back to their place. They absolutely love this song, absolutely. But I'll go into more detail about the diversity side in just a moment. So we'll go back to the beginning of the spoken lyrics. I will move it on now, make it a little faster, and add the actions in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We're making soup for dinner. Get out your pot. Pour in the water and fill it to the top. Wash up the veggies and get ready to chop. This kitchen is about to get very, very hot. Phew. Let's put potatoes in the pot. Potatoes in the pot. Who's got potatoes for the cooking pot? With a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Stir it until I say stop. And then after we've got the lyrics down, we show you the sheet music. It's a bit like reading a map. In order to show you the musical landscape you'll be covering on your journey, you don't need to be able to read music. You just need to understand the song structure. And each song has 5 little basic musical concepts that tells you a little bit about the music as we go along. So here we have the opening sheet music guide for this, and as you can see, we say here, this is a pause sign. It's used to build anticipation in the song. The children will often come to recognise it as soon as you start singing it. It means take your time here when singing these words, so you can really, once the children know the song, you can start to milk this a little more. So we're, excuse me, I'm very gruff this morning. We're making soup for dinner, and off you go. After that, we offer you both MP3 recordings of the song and also MP4 slideshows or song stories too. These enable the children to follow along to the song independently, perhaps in a role play corner or in a group learning scenario. It's also very important to state that it is always better to share a new song with the children in an unaccompanied form. By doing so, you've got the optimal amount of time and flexibility to pause, change and adapt the song as you see fit in the moment in order to accommodate the needs of your particular children. We'll move on now to sample a very brief excerpt of the song itself so that you can hear how all the layers blend together. As I mentioned previously, first of all, the children need to become familiar with the song in its simplest form so that they will need just a few common vegetables each, and the singing should be at a slow tempo. After a few times of singing the song at a slow speed, we can start to increase both the tempo and the choice of vegetables included. Then, when the children are confident with the structure and format of the song, We can start to introduce vegetables from around the world, perhaps starting with ones that your children or their carers have suggested to you as ones they eat at home. In order to help you with this, we've a range of vegetable picture cards from around the world that you could print out and use for this particular song. So you can see just how integrated the children's experience becomes when you use a song as a vehicle for learning. They're learning so many things simultaneously, but in enjoyable and simple ways. Both their diversity and their musical learning becomes memorable, internalised, without ever becoming overwhelming. And what instant wins have the children learnt about diversity? We celebrate the special qualities of vegetables in this song. Each is unique and different, but when combined together, vegetables can make a delicious and special soup. This is a great analogy to use with children about ourselves too, and it brings diversity to them in age-appropriate ways. Everyone has their own sets of characteristics. They're special and unique as individuals, and yet when you combine people in a group, a class or a team or an orchestra, they have the opportunity to contribute their special gifts to the whole. Without all the diverse and different ingredients, the soup wouldn't be the same. And without all the diverse and different children in our group, that just wouldn't be the same either. So just very briefly, we have a variety of courses to support teachers. We have simple songs to support diversity awareness, which this is the pattern that it follows. If I just get my mouse on it, as you can see, if you log in on the course platform, the menu is on the side. And then if you click on one of these, you will bring up the content within each lesson. And then this is just showing you the final lesson of this particular song, The Colour Wheel. And this is where the downloads sit. So there's some PDF, the sheet music and the lyrics. There are MP3s for you to follow, and there's a story slide for you also, which this is one of the slides from that. So it is a professional and easy to navigate course platform. Our second course, Simple Steps to Diversity Awareness. This is often taken to complement the simple songs, and it just looks at aspects of diversity plus child development stages from 3 to 7, so that you can see how the children develop their diversity awareness. And thirdly, we've got a monthly membership, Diversity Dots and Songs. So this combines a dot of diversity learning along with songs to support that particular aspect. We also have a variety of dots within the month. So we've got the fact and then a reflective section for you to think about diversity in particular and how it affects you. Then we look at child development relating to the fact. And then, very importantly, having learnt about the theory here, we apply it to our own settings in ways that we can immediately apply it and see the impact that it creates. And of course, there's a song to go with it. So at least one, often two, up to 4, I think, in some months, for you to enjoy with your children. And finally, excuse me, we have Diversity Steps and Songs, which is a self-study course. So it's the steps, simple steps to diversity awareness, which is purely diversity related, and the songs to support diversity awareness combined into one super package, really, for you to study on your own. The other courses have a live element. I can't help but pop in on a weekly basis to make sure everyone's doing okay. So I often drop a live session in where people can ask questions and we can just debate the content that we've been learning about. But here, for this course, you're on your own. Okay. And this is how it's laid out. So exactly the same. We have a diversity fact, and then we have a song to support that fact. And finally, just in case you haven't come across this yet, we've got a great free resource. Some teachers are using it as part of their music lessons, and some teachers use it as a whole school assembly resource. It's packed full of such interesting facts and information. Myself and my team had such fun putting it together, and it will last you a whole year. It's 26 letters, obviously, in the alphabet, and we have picked musical examples from around the world to keep you interested. So, for example, if we go into letter D, you can see we covered dynamics and drums in that one, and we look at Japanese drumming and also African drumming too. And then we move to something totally different for the letter E. We look at the euphonium, a brass instrument, and we have a short introduction. These are a combination of videos and just factual information, and various examples of different euphonium performers in this case. So if you haven't yet signed up for that, I would really recommend you do so. And so that draws our webinar to a close. Thank you for your interest in making the world a fairer place for our children through singing to increase diversity awareness. If you're interested in learning more, you can register for the courses on our website, www.musicbuds.org, or drop me a line if you'd like to chat with me about what we can offer you. We do also tailor our materials to suit particular situations and circumstances. And I'm Claire, without an I, at musicbuds.org. And so finally, just to tie up all our learning and send you on your way with a thoughtful quote that echoes the one by Nelson Mandela that opened this webinar, I've decided to finish with an observation by Ibram X. Kendi, a leading academic and advocate for educating young children about racism and racist ideas. We imagine our kids can't be racist, so why teach them about a problem they can't possibly have? We worry, in any event, racist ideas are too sophisticated for kids to understand. But the opposite is true. Racist ideas have spread across humanity and history precisely because they are simple. Dark skin is bad and light skin is good. Strikingly simple and dangerous. Just as we tell kids to look both ways before crossing the street, we must tell them to notice racist ideas. So thanks once again for joining us, and I hope to see you back here for the next one.